Well, good day, Rice Lane. Great to be with you today, Year 4. Hello from me, Year 5. If you're with me, then a hello from me and Year 6 as well. Great that we're able to have some time together. This will be the norm for us for a few weeks at least. Perhaps sometime after half term we'll have some more assemblies as well in this format. And I'm just going to take you through what we're going to try and achieve over the next number of weeks, if we can. Always ask a big question in our assemblies, don't we? Who is Jesus? And that will be our big question this side of half term. And we're going to look at 3 Bible stories over the next few weeks, which will hopefully help us have some further understanding of who Jesus is and who the Bible says he is. And then alongside that, hopefully going to give you a little bit of a word search, which you can have a look at. That'll come up on your screens in a moment, and maybe your teachers will be able to pause the video for a few minutes and just give you a little bit of time to see if you can pick out some of the words that are hidden. And these words that will come up are words that are all in the story. Our story today is about Jesus who heals and who forgives. And so there's some tricky placements in the word search, so maybe you can have a minute or two in class, see if you can discover them. But let me crack on with the story, and in a moment or two we'll just pause the story, get the word search up, you can have a look at that, and then we'll finish off with our story. Here it is. Jesus was back in a place where he visited and stayed often. It's in a place called Capernaum. And he'd been away for some weeks. And when the people had heard that Jesus had come home, so to speak, lots of people from around the area came back to greet him. Not just to greet him, but to have time with him and to hear what he had to say. Perhaps maybe to recount where he'd been and what he'd done. But whatever happens, Jesus is found in a house, and the house is chocker. It's rammed full of people. And there's not any room for anyone inside the house or even outside the house. People are peering in through the open windows. People are around the doors, and no one else can get in. And Jesus is talking to some teachers of the law there, some religious leaders, and there'd be lots of other different types of people, some Jesus's friends, and some who'd be out to trick him. Well, the next part of the story tells us this, that there were 4 friends who tried to get into the house to see Jesus. They'd heard that Jesus was in the area. They'd come along, but they not only came along to see Jesus themselves, but they brought their own friend with him, a man who was paralyzed and who was on a mat like a stretcher, not able to walk himself. And they wanted to see if Jesus could do anything for him. They'd heard that Jesus made people well, and they thought, rightly so, if we only get our friend to Jesus, then maybe Jesus can do something for him as well. Can you imagine their disappointment when they got to buy the house and the crowds were so big that there was no room for even one of them to squeeze through into the building? We're going to pause our story there, and I want to show you the word search. So if you have a few minutes, look and see if you can find some of these words, and then these words will come up in the rest of our story. See if you can listen out for them as they come along. So maybe a few minutes and then back to our story. Well, back to our story then. What were the boys going to do? They had an idea. Their houses were a little bit different than ours, and they have steps on the outside going up to the roof. A bit like some villas that you may have been to or seen on TV in European countries or in other countries. Because it was so hot, they'd have outside stairs and they'd use the roof space for different things during the course of the day. So the 4 boys Up they went up the steps on the roof, and then they started to scratch and scrape on the roof, the straw, the mud, the bits of gravel that was in there. And they made a hole in the roof big enough to lower their friend down. And they lowered their friend down, and you can imagine the people inside the house pushing further and further back, squeezing into each other, and their friend they laid down at the feet of Jesus. Jesus looks up. Imagine him looking up and going, "What are you doing, lads? What's going on?" And they replied to Jesus, "We brought our friend to see if you can heal him." Let me read what Jesus says next in the Bible story found in a book called Mark. Jesus says this: when Jesus saw their faith, he said to their friend, to their paralyzed man, "Son, your sins are forgiven." Wow! Now that's a bit of a mad statement that Jesus has made. The friends wanted their friend to be able to run, to walk, to jump, and not to be lying on a mat for the rest of his life. They were hoping that Jesus would make him well, would heal him. And Jesus says to the man on the mat, "Son, you are forgiven all your sins." Well, there was murmuring going on in the crowd because some people were saying, who does Jesus think he is? Does he not know that only God has the power to forgive sins? Mark tells the story and says Jesus actually knew what they were thinking. And Jesus then asked the crowd a question. And he said this: "What's the easiest thing for me to say? Is it to say to this man, 'Son, your sins are forgiven,' or 'Take up your mat and walk'?" Interesting question, isn't it? Now the answer really is there. The easiest thing for Jesus to say is, "Son, your sins are forgiven," because nobody would know whether they were or they weren't. But Jesus then goes on to say something else. He says this: "I want you to know that the Son of Man has authority on earth to forgive sins." So he said to the man, "I tell you, get up, take your mat and go home." Jesus displayed his power and authority to forgive sins by saying to the man, "Get up, take your mat and go home." And the next part of the story tells us the man did just that. He got up, he rolled up his mat off the floor, jumped up and down, and ran outside, no doubt, as his friends came down the stairs and they greeted each other, and they were amazed, just like the crowd were amazed at what they had seen, but also about what they'd heard. And what we find out about Jesus in this story is this: not only has he got power to heal, but Jesus makes a claim that he has authority from God to forgive sins. In fact, he's saying something more than that. Jesus is saying he is God with us here on earth. And that's quite an amazing statement for somebody to make. The man was healed and walked away. Walking, running, jumping. Jesus left the crowd bewildered, uncertain of who Jesus really, really is. He's got power to forgive and power to heal. Who is Jesus? He's more than just an ordinary man. Let me say a short prayer as we close. I hope you got some of those words on the word search. I hope you're able to find some of them. Some of them are a bit tricky, weren't they? But I hope you managed to find some. And next week we'll have another story, And next week, we'll have a little memory verse to do as well. Let me say a short prayer. And if you want to join in, you know what to do, don't you? You can say Amen at the end as well. Dear Lord Jesus, thank you for this short story which tells us something more about you and your greatness, and that you are not just an ordinary man. Help us to understand what it means that you can heal and you can forgive. And perhaps it's trying to tell us that our greatest need is not our physical health, but our greatest need is to be forgiven by you. Watch over us throughout the rest of our day, we pray. Amen.